In this video, I am going to walk you through 30 of the wildest, most impractical, and absolutely baffling outfits celebrities have ever worn to an award show. We have to start with the dress that defined an era. Lady Gaga at the 2010 VMAs. She did not wear silk or satin. She wore 50 pounds of raw flank steak. Designed by Frank Fernandez, the meat dress was real, heavy, and apparently smelled quite sweet, according to Gaga. She even had a matching meat purse. It was a statement about fighting for your rights, but for everyone else, it was a barbecue waiting to happen. Then there is Tyla at the Met Gala. She wore a Balmain dress made entirely of sand. It was molded to her body like a plaster cast. The dress was so stiff and fragile that once it dried, she physically could not bend her legs or walk properly. She had to be lifted and carried up the stairs like a statue by a team of handlers. Zendaya turned heads when she showed up in a vintage Mugler robot suit. It was a chrome bodysuit with clear cutouts that made her look like a cyborg from the distant future. It wasn't fabric, it was metal and plastic. A piece of archival fashion history that looked uncomfortable but incredibly cool. Bjork is the queen of avant-garde, but her swan dress at the Oscars remains legendary. It looked like a dead swan was draped around her neck. To make matters weirder, she brought giant ostrich eggs with her and periodically stopped on the red carpet to lay an egg in front of the confused photographers. Jared Leto decided that the best accessory for the Met Gala was himself. He wore a long red Gucci gown, but in his hand, he carried a hyper-realistic silicone replica of his own severed head. It cost thousands of dollars to make and was terrifyingly accurate, right down to the beard hair. Kim Kardashian broke the internet not by showing skin, but by hiding it. She wore a Balenciaga outfit that covered every single inch of her body in black fabric, including her entire face. She looked like a walking shadow. She couldn't see well and needed help navigating the carpets, proving that sometimes anonymity is the loudest statement. Doja Cat took patience to a new level. She did not just wear a red dress. She had 30,000 Swarovski crystals applied directly to her skin by hand. It took 5 hours to apply them. She looked like a sparkling red alien, and the dedication to sitting in a makeup chair for that long is a feat in itself. Katy Perry decided to light up the room quite literally. She arrived at the Met Gala dressed as a fully functioning crystal chandelier. The outfit weighed a ton and had actual light bulbs powered by batteries hidden in the dress. Later that night, she changed into a giant hamburger costume because why not? Jenna Ortega brought a gothic architectural vibe with a dress that looked like it was constructed from twisted metal rulers. It was a structural masterpiece that defied gravity, looking more like a building than a piece of clothing. Billy Porter did not just walk the carpet. He was carried in on a litter by 6 shirtless men covered in gold. He wore a sun god ensemble with massive 10-foot gold wings that opened up when he stood. It was less of a fashion moment and more of a theatrical production. Rihanna shut down the Met Gala with her yellow guo-pei cape. It took one woman 2 years to make this dress by hand. It weighed 55 pounds and had a train so long it required 3 assistants to move it. The internet immediately compared it to a giant omelet or a pizza, but it remains one of the most iconic fashion moments ever. Solange Knowles showed up in a Tom Brown puffer coat dress that looked like a high-fashion sleeping bag. It had a massive train and made her look like she was floating on a pool raft. To top it off, she wore ice skate heels, adding a level of danger to the already puffy situation. Cardi B arrived at the Grammys looking like a pearl inside an oyster. She wore a vintage Mugler gown that fanned out around her hips like a shell. It was stunning, but she could barely walk, requiring tiny baby steps to inch her way down the carpet. Celine Dion was ahead of her time in 1999 when she wore a white tuxedo completely backward. The jacket opened at the back, exposing her spine, and she paired it with a fedora. Critics hated it at the time, but today it is considered a stroke of genius. Grimes brought a weapon to the fashion fight. She wore a translucent, futuristic gown and carried a sword. But it wasn't a prop from a movie. It was made from a melted-down AR-15 rifle, turning a weapon of war into a fashion accessory. Bella Hadid had a dress created on her body in real time. She walked onto the runway in just underwear, and scientists sprayed a liquid fabric onto her skin that hardened into a white dress instantly. It was a seamless blend of chemistry and couture. Lil Nas X fully committed to the theme of Karl Lagerfeld's cat Chopette. He covered his entire body in silver paint and crystals and wore a beaded cat mask. He refused to speak to reporters, only answering their questions with meows. Janelle Monáe is known for her surrealist style. She wore a dress with a giant eye on the chest that actually blinked. It had a mechanical eyelid that opened and closed, making everyone who looked at her feel like they were being watched back. Frederick Robertson showed up in a spiky silver jumpsuit that made him look like a deep-sea creature or a futuristic porcupine. It was so wild that major news outlets mistakenly reported that it was Jared Leto because the outfit was just that bizarre. Sia rarely shows her face, but she took it to the extreme with huge wigs that cover her entire head. She often has to be guided by her dancer, Maddie Ziegler, because she literally cannot see where she is going. Machine Gun Kelly wore a suit that was dangerous to touch. It was covered in sharp metal spikes. He joked that anyone who tried to hug him would get stabbed. It was fashion as a defense mechanism. Cara Delevingne skipped the shirt entirely one year. She painted her entire upper body gold and wore gold nipple covers with a suit jacket. It was body paint as formal wear, and she pulled it off with serious confidence. Ezra Miller used makeup to create an optical illusion. He painted multiple sets of hyper-realistic eyes on his face. It was trippy to look at him because you couldn't tell which eyes were real and which were paint. Whoopi Goldberg once wore a purple and green jumpsuit with a matching cape that looked like it belonged to a Disney villain. She bought it herself and loved it, even though fashion critics tore it apart. Kid Cudi paid tribute to Kurt Cobain by wearing a floral dress on Saturday Night Live. It was a nod to grunge history and breaking gender norms, sparking a huge conversation about masculinity and fashion. Sarah Jessica Parker is known for her headpieces, but the time she wore a massive nativity scene on her head takes the cake. It was a full, intricate sculpture balanced precariously on her hair. Frank Ocean brought a strange +1 to the Met Gala. He carried a green robot baby that moved and blinked. He treated it like a real child, cradling it in his arms while posing for photos. And we can't forget Cardi B at the 2019 Met Gala. She wore a Tom Brown gown that was filled with down feathers and took 35 people to make. It was so massive that it took up the entire staircase, and no one could stand within 3 feet of her without stepping on the train. Lupita Nyong'o wore a dress made of 6,000 pearls. It was heavy and beautiful, but the story got crazy when it was stolen from her hotel room. The thieves later returned it when they realized the pearls were fake. Finally, we have Harry Styles, who embraced the camp theme by wearing a sheer black lace blouse and pearl earring. It wasn't the weirdest on this list, but for a major male pop star, it was a defining moment that blurred the lines of gendered clothing on the red carpet. These celebrities prove that sometimes fashion isn't about looking pretty, it is about looking memorable, even if that means wearing a steak or getting carried up the stairs. Which one of these looks do you think went too far? Let me know in the comments.